Call the meeting to order. This is a meeting being held just for an update on our efficiency request for we had passed the bond vote, if you remember. We want to update on what's going on. I just received an email, let me just read it to you, from Steve Stitzel. Let me read it here for a second. It says, Ken, based on comments reported in some Bennington Banner articles and my review of a video of a BSD meeting, I became concerned that the board did not have an accurate understanding of my involvement in this project. Specifically, I never requested a formal opinion from the Agency of Education. That request was made by Pietro Lynn. Attached is a letter that summarizes actions I took with regard to this project. As I stated in the letter, I will be glad to meet with the board to discuss this contents. Steve. Okay. So just everybody will be up. I just got that about 15, 20 minutes ago, so. 4 o'clock. So everybody understands that.
This is
Okay.
Steve Stitzel, the lawyer for the SVSU.
Yes. So there was some question as to who requested this, the checking into our application, is it correct or not? And he claims that it was not him. Okay. Okay, so we're gonna get an update.
Okay, let's go.
So an update on where we are tonight. So the board meeting was on 5/4, which we authorized to go back and send it to Efficiency Vermont and get this project rolling. So that Thursday and Friday, 5/5, 5/6, I did a review of the documents. This is what they look like. This is the RFP, this is the RFP, that's the energy audit, and these are all the backing documents. These were sent to Efficiency Vermont that Monday, 5/9. I heard back from Efficiency Vermont on 5/11, their response to the RFP. Then the next day on 5/12, I spoke with Brad Dubois, who is the representative for this area for Efficiency Vermont, with the recommended changes that he is suggesting be made into the RFP. So some of the examples of the changes in the RFP that he wants to put in, there's no mention that he can find in the RFP that states that the work needs to be completed and comply with the applicable codes and standards. And of particular interest of him is indoor air quality, so that needs to be added to it. He also, I'm not going to go into everything on these 2 pages of specs that we would like to see changed. Mechanical systems details that he wants to make some recommended changes in the RFP for there, and also recommended changes in the wording around controls. He highly recommends including language specifying the mechanical system controls shall enable ventilation rates and temperature setbacks for unoccupied periods. Asking that statements be included somewhere in the RFP that the contractor must share upon request all analysis files with the BSD and Efficiency Vermont for the purpose of evaluation and verification. And there's others about the lighting system, so that was my discussion with him. On Monday, 5/16, based on those changes, I had an opportunity to meet with Paul Dansbrew, who was the MAU Director of Facilities. He was here for another meeting. I had him get a third opinion on this, have him look at the RFP and the suggested modifications from Efficiency Vermont. And upon his reading of the RFP, the question that he brought, and Donna was present with me for that meeting, up how far are we supposed to be going back to the beginning? So that brought me back to the letter from the Agency of Education of April 6th, and it says, restart the energy performance contracting process from the beginning. So that's something that Paul really, couldn't help us with at that point. I thanked him for his opinion on that. And then on 5/17, which was the next day, I called the Agency of Education specifically about this letter of April 6th, asking clarity for what the line "restart the energy performance contracting process from the beginning" actually means, because I'm taking this to look at two different ways. We had an energy audit done, we have that, let's go out to bid for the actual work, versus, or are they saying we go all the way back and do a new energy audit? The answer I received, restart from the beginning, means you go back and do a new energy audit. That was on the 17th. On May 17th, now because this was with let me make sure I get this right. I had my first discussion with Jason Dolmich of MSK Engineering, because I believe the recommended changes from Efficiency Vermont were getting a little complicated for us to administer, asking for a proposal of what that would, what their services would look like. On May 18th, I sent the RFP and the Efficiency Vermont suggested modifications to MSK Engineering for review. On that same day, May 18th, Brad DeBoer from Efficiency Vermont asked to see our energy audit, which he told me he had never received or seen before, so he needed now to see our energy audit on the 18th. On May 18th, I got a follow-up from Efficiency Vermont concerning LED lighting. He was concerning some things that he had read in the paper about our previous meeting about let's hurry up and get this done and buy materials now and save money. So this is from the energy consultant from Efficiency Vermont. Won't read the whole thing. But additionally, he says LED prices are dropping rapidly, so you would most likely not want to pursue the idea of procuring lighting equipment now at current prices. That strategy may be viable for mechanical equipment, but not for lighting. That was on the 18th. On last Thursday, the 19th, I had a follow-up discussion with the Secretary of Education. The first discussion I had was with Greg Ledden, the General Counsel. That was in the phone call. So on the 19th, the discussion with the Secretary of Education. And again, restated that going back to the beginning means you go back and do the energy audit again. And she did make a statement that I think is, worth repeating, that why is AOE involved in this? Because it is ed fund money that is being spent on this. It's not, we think of it as local dollars because we're doing it out of our budget. She reminded me that it is ed fund money that is paying for this. So then on 5/20, which was last Friday, I had a phone discussion with Jason from MSK regarding what the cost would be to have them make the changes into the RFP so we can get this out so that we're in compliance. And then to administer the bidding process, similar to how we do on many other projects. I mean, we opened a roofing bid here for Shaftesbury last week, $120,000 bid, and we used engineering services to do RFP and administer the bidding process. We did the same thing for paving at MAU. So we do this all the time. It's not unusual. I don't know why it didn't happen this time, but my recommendation at a $4.4 million project, we should spend the estimated $3,000, no more than $3,000, to have MSK Engineering make the changes to the RFP that Efficiency Vermont has recommended. And by administering the bidding process, that also means that they have to do the communication with Efficiency Vermont, which in another email that I got from Efficiency Vermont, I don't have the exact quote here, but it's basically that I need to keep them, give you this one. I expect to assist in evaluating proposals, including the assessment of any alternative scopes presented. I would be happy to join in on the faculty, on facility walkthroughs as well. It goes on more about how we have to keep them included at every step of the process, so that would be the engineer's responsibility. Then on 5/23, which was yesterday, I received an email from Efficiency Vermont regarding their review of our energy audit. And I followed that up with a phone call to the Efficiency Vermont this morning. They have some concerns about some of the numbers used in the energy audit, and they concur that we should go back to the beginning, have a new energy audit. A couple of things that they pointed out in the energy audit, and this is Efficiency Vermont's opinion, that a historical composite number was used for what the price of heating oil was when doing the energy audit. So it was like $3 and something cents a gallon. Yet they didn't use a historical number for propane. They just used what the current value. So it is not an apples to apples comparison. And I'll read directly from what that says.
That can't be researched and just change an amount? That can't be researched and just change an amount? Why does an entire audit has to be done? Because they just did apples to pineapples.
Well, it's also, Efficiency Vermont is recommending that we go back to do it. They can't tell us to go back and do the energy audit, but the Agency of Education is telling us to go back and do the energy audit.
Who does the energy audit?
The company,
Well,
Jerry?
EFI.
Your RFP
EEI
and your
did it.
energy audit are one and the same thing. When you go out for a new RFP or RFQ, whatever it was that you went out for, or what we did go out for, that's included, that's part of it.
But we're also
So they come in
responsible for
when
the
you-
$40,000 for the original
Yeah,
one.
thank you, Jerry, because that is the important point on this. If the RFP is currently written, doesn't allow you to start up from the middle of the project and just go out to contractors to do work. There was only one RFP, and that was for the energy audit and part of that.
Jim, taking all of the information that you've presented to us tonight, could you develop your thoughts on a timeline with what we've seen here tonight and what is needed in order to get this going in the right direction? What are we looking at for a timeline?
I've asked Jason to attend tonight. I don't know if you can address how long that would be I've sent Jason the changes in the RFP that Efficiency Vermont is recommending, and then how long that would take that we could then get this rebid.
Is that before or after we do another energy audit?
it'd be
The
after.
rebidding would be part of
Oh,
a new
so,
energy, yeah, we
so
have to
they would
make the
take care of that.
modifications so that we can go out to bid even for the energy audit. So,
Whoever you pick to do your RFP, whatever company that is, or the RFP, they will do an energy audit.
Oh, I
Whatever
see.
that is part of that.
EEI did the last one
Right,
because they
that's
had
who
the
company
bid.
you pick, so. I
And
mean,
we
if it
have to
was
pay them
Johnson
for that.
Control, Then Johnson Control,
Yeah,
they'll
we
give you
will,
a price.
and Efficiency Vermont did discuss that. They felt that, again, they asked how much we owe them for the energy audit. I said, my understanding is $2,900 and some figure around that. And
I thought it was-
their suggestion said it's still worth going out for another. And again, I caution you we can disagree with the Secretary of Education, we can fight the Secretary
I
of
wanna know why the
Education.
AOE is not involved in all the other projects in the state. I wish you'd ask her that.
Can I ask this other question, though? For the first time that we did this, was there an energy audit by an objective company?
I would say yes. What they're saying that we did wrong was that Efficiency Vermont did
Wasn't in the
not-
loop?
was not in the loop early enough. They weren't there for, when that audit came back, the audit should have went to Efficiency Vermont then, not just last week. And they should have been involved The other thing that they mentioned, they should have been involved in analyzing the bids for the actual work. And that did not happen, and that has to happen this time around. I think there was 4 days from when the bid closed to the bid was awarded, so that would not been enough time to send it to Efficiency Vermont to have them review. So what they've said, they have to
So
be
my
involved in
understanding
that
then
process.
is, we hire another company to do an audit, an objective audit, but this is not the company that we.
No, it's
No.
it's the bid.
They could win the bid again to do the energy audit.
Oh, okay.
They could do that. But because the audit did not go to Efficiency Vermont before the bid was rewarded, they are making us go back and redo the
So we're
audit.
just out like $3,000.
And the reason why it didn't probably go to Energy Efficiency Vermont, and I'm only speaking because there was only one bid. Johnson Controls at the time decided they did not want to bid. The third company, I don't remember the name,
Didn't even respond.
but didn't even respond. Rick had reported this all to the Facilities Committee, the three things in. We suggested that, because EEI did it, that we would go ahead. They came to the board, they did that presentation on how they were gonna do the energy audit. The energy audit was done.
But we left
well,
somebody
okay.
out of the loop.
Okay,
Well,
Okay.
it's a should.
So I think the
let's
quickest
do
solution.
this. Let's do this. I want to go back to the question. Let's get a timetable right now,
All right.
and let's see what we have to do to get this thing moving in the right direction, and take it from there. And then after we can have, if we want to,
Yeah.
bring this up a little more. So let's get this thing moving.
And this is an RFQ, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's an RFQ.
Yes.
It's not gonna be a bid.
No, my discussions with Jason and actually with Efficiency Vermont, at this point, it does not make sense to go all the way back and treat this like a general construction
Good.
project. That was my discussion with, but not to speak for you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Jason Dolmich with MSK Engineering. Jim Culkeen asked me to, as he mentioned, just to look over this information. So to answer your question, I would see, to package the material up and get it out on the street is probably like a 2 to 4 week time frame just to get it rolling. And then I would prefer, if I look at the original RFQ, RFP phase, I would prefer to see the original issuance was 7/08/15 with a site visit almost exactly 1 week later. And since the site visits are in fact mandatory, I would prefer to see at least 2 weeks of notice so that you can get people to show up to encourage good competition. With proposals being due, approximately 1 month later from the issuance of the RFP. So that would give people 2 weeks to find out about it and make a request to show up for a site visit, and then 2 more weeks to finalize their proposal together. Doesn't have to be significantly longer than that. So if let's say this thing goes out on the street around June 15th, you could be seeing the final proposals back on July 15th, somewhere where the month of July, the week of July 1st with a site visit, and then so with July 15th, you probably give a notice of award. I would probably give it 2 weeks since we have to coordinate with Efficiency Vermont and make sure we get their input. You also have to, you were talking about conducting interviews as well. So you'd probably have a week or two to select firms to interview. And then you're probably selecting the contractor about a week later. So it's probably it's probably going to be somewhere between a month and a half to 2 month process for it to begin.
So by August 1st?
Yeah, August 1st, August 15th, let's say.
Okay, are we gonna miss, the bond bank? If we decide to bond it? Because they're the ones that'll do it for the 15 years.
No. I don't have that question. I don't have that answer. I know that we couldn't do it now. I don't know what their window was. I know it started end of June.
Something
So-
about the end of June, and they usually award sometime in August, but I don't know what the date was, because we
Yeah.
didn't get that far. We're
But you could do the same thing that you were going to do on this project, as short-term leasing, conventional financing, converting it to a bond once they open their window again, which is what
once a
was the
year.
intention to do it, yeah, at this point.
The one thing I want to make sure, and I'm putting this out right now, we have a 3-member facilities committee. I want you to be aware right now, you work for the BSD board. You don't work for the SVSU. You don't work for the superintendent. And you report, and I think that's probably the best way to look at this, is you report back to the facilities committee. I just want to lay that out right off the bat.
Maybe to Ken through the,
Well, the facilities committee, I know I'm retired, so I'm available
I'm
pretty
available
much most days, and so is Jackie.
But we have to include the superintendent as well.
He can be CC'd on
Yeah,
things, but
yeah.
I want that out
Yeah.
right off the bat. That
And on
he's
this
an employee of
timetable,
the
we want to be
BSD.
sure that the dates that you're giving us, that you built in enough dates there so that we aren't gonna have a repeat of this 30 days from now.
No.
We want to be sure that we're incorporating all the things that the superintendent has brought up tonight, and has got this together so that this thing is heading in the right direction under the date.
He did.
So we're all right,
I looked, he's got more than enough time.
all right?
Yeah, I mean, I felt when I looked at the original schedule that it was compressed. And unless there's a real critical need for it, which it sounds like what I just heard, that there are ways that we're not gonna fall off a cliff with a deadline. That it's more, you don't wanna make the bids go on forever. because-
No.
But you also wanna make sure that people have ample time to become
To bid it.
interested.
And to
we
interact
involve-
with Efficiency Vermont. 'cause they-
And then to interact with Efficiency Vermont, that's correct.
So it's the middle
I,
of August.
I like what I'm hearing.
So you're talking about the middle of August?
Yeah, I would say, I would like to converse with Brad first, make sure that he's happy with the way that the schedule is, so he understands what the deadlines are, and then what I can do is issue a written schedule.
Thank you.
No, sounds good, yeah.
And then also to communicate with the Agency of Education to be sure that we're all on the same wavelength, so that we've got this thing moving in the right direction.
I don't know if we.
We don't have to.
Do we?
It's just telling
This
us that
didn't,
we
this
have
didn't
to.
even have to go to the Agency of
I'd
Education.
send once we get past the step, I'd send it up to them, heck with them.
I would too. I'd flood them with everything.
Flood them with everything, so they can't say, well, you didn't give us this.
Yeah, they
you
hate
left
us
out."
already, so.
Yeah.
And I feel contracting with professional engineering services will help us make sure that we comply with everything that they've asked.
Right.
I've worked with Jason on numerous projects, and he's more than qualified, and he will do the job that you need done in the time frame that you need, and he has a lot of connections with a lot of state agencies and knows well the people that need to be first.
No, you send it
And-
out to
Just so you know,
businesses that you think would be interested in bidding, is that? So we make sure we get it out
Personally,
there?
yeah, I mean, I think one of the, I'm gonna check with Brad, I'll also talk with a couple other colleagues, and,
That was the other
you know, my
board.
goal is always to put it
We
out,
have-
you know, you
I
put it
have
on
all
as
the
many
paperwork.
websites
Right.
as possible, but then you also do your little bit of footwork to make sure people get interested.
Because I
Okay.
have all
See it
that
early.
paperwork on that.
Okay, what else we need?
So you need a motion to contract with them?
so moved. I-
Second?
Discussion? All in favor? Okay, get it going tomorrow.
Full steam ahead.
Not to change, but I had, before I got sick there, these two articles that were in this paper all about retrofitting buildings. I had it sent out to everybody, I hope you received it. So it just shows you that, you know, we're not alone. We got a lot of older buildings in the United States that have health
Can I have
problems with
copies of that
fresh air.
stuff for the
Yeah, could-
Facilities Committee?
Which documents do you want?
Mainly all the
Genevieve,
communications,
You're the third
yeah,
member
if you
of
could
the
scan it,
facilities
email it.
Especially the communications.
The one thing that wasn't put on our agenda was what you and I discussed about a memo for the schools.
You want to do it tonight or at our next meeting?
You mean,
How
it's
far-
not on the agenda, your regular meeting's next week.
Okay, yeah. We want to put a memo out to the schools about the
Policy on.
DCF, mandatory reporting. Because if we wait
Oh, yeah.
for the policy committee to get
Be December.
the policy, it'll be December by the time it's squared away. But we
Gene-
want to do a memo for our schools.
Yeah, Gene asked me if we could put this on, he said it would be nice if we instructed all three principals, if, you know, between now and the end of school, if they would speak with their staff, custodians, or
We
parents.
don't need to put that in, we can do that.
But tell them, because I always thought myself that the mandated reporter reports to the principal, and then the principal, but I guess I
No,
was
it's-
wrong.
It's not
If
that,
a
yeah.
para sees it, they're supposed to get
We
Department
received
of
a new
Children.
memo from the Secretary of Education on this, so we can forward that to all principals and staff. We can
Yeah,
report
they
to you
should-
Next
but-
week that we did that.
Every staff member does a mandatory training every year
And
at the
return every
beginning of
year.
the year. So when they come back in August, every single staff member does.
And we track by computer who's gone on and taken the training, and then we get printouts of who hasn't, and we pursue them to make sure. that they
Every
do it.
year.
I don't think the para
Every
or the
year.
teacher in Shasbury get the message,
They
because
all did it too.
they didn't report it, they just forwarded.
Then what happened?
Okay,
They followed the process.
alright, we probably should stick to the agenda, so.
How did your wife make out?
She did good.
I
Thank
move
you.
that we
Make
end the
it-
meeting.
I'll make me, wait, oh, wait,
Well, he's trying to talk about his wife now.
Motion
so-
to adjourn.
Motion to.
second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Thank you.